In the next few minutes, I'm exposing 10 fast food chains hiding restricted preservatives, petroleum-derived dyes, and silicone compounds inside the sandwich Americans order every day because they think it's the safe choice. The chicken sandwich is supposed to be the smarter call. That's literally why you pick it over the burger. But several of the biggest chains in America are putting ingredients that are banned, restricted, or require government health warnings in other countries with nothing on the packaging here. There are 10 brands on this list. Some will surprise you. One is probably your go-to right now. We're also covering the 3 chains actually doing it right, so you know exactly where to stop and where to go. Top 1, Arby's Crispy Chicken Sandwich. Arby's made a smart call in 1964. Every fast food chain was selling burgers. Arby's went somewhere completely different. Roast beef sliced thin, served fast, built for people who were never burger people. That identity was honest and it built real loyalty, especially across the Midwest. The roast beef at Arby's is still whole muscle meat. You can watch it being sliced at the counter. That visibility was always part of why people trusted the brand. The crispy chicken sandwich works completely differently. The chicken patty arrives pre-formed and pre-treated from a processing facility before it ever reaches the restaurant. The ingredient list includes sodium phosphates and modified food starch, 2 additives that show up when food needs to hold its shape and retain moisture well beyond what natural ingredients allow. Their presence here means the chicken was processed and packaged somewhere far from the restaurant long before anyone cooked it in front of you. There's also no published third-party animal welfare certification for the chicken sourcing. No antibiotic use disclosure. No farm traceability of any kind. Sodium is already above 1,000 millisomers before you've ordered a single side. The brand built trust through a product you can literally see being made. The chicken sandwich is borrowing that trust for something built somewhere you'll never see. The roast beef earned that reputation. The crispy chicken is riding it for free. Top 2, Jack in the Box Cluck Sandwich. Jack in the Box doesn't carry the heritage story most chains lean on. No iconic founder, no cultural moment, no signature item people grew up loving. What it has is hours. Late nights, early mornings, the window's still lit when everything else on the strip is dark. For a lot of its customers, that's the entire reason they're there. Now look at what's actually in the cluck sandwich. It contains carrageenan and dimethylpolysaloxane, both of them in the same product. Carrageenan comes from red seaweed, which sounds harmless enough, but the National Organic Standards Board reviewed the research and voted to remove carrageenan from the approved list of organic ingredients, citing studies linking it to intestinal inflammation and potential gut lining damage. It's still legal in conventional food. It just no longer meets the bar the organic food industry set for clean products. So when you see it here, that's the context. Dimethylpolysaloxane is a silicone anti-foaming compound added directly to frying oil. It's the same base compound used in silly putty. FDA approved at low concentrations and present in every batch of oil this sandwich is cooked in. Finding both of these in one product isn't a Jack in the Box specific problem. It points to something bigger. Most major chains pull from the same industrial commodity chicken supply system. The suppliers overlap. The processing facilities overlap. The additive packages travel with the product, and they don't change based on whose logo ends up on the bag. Jack in the Box has also published no animal welfare standards for its chicken, no antibiotic policy, and nothing that would let a customer trace this product back to any verifiable origin. Open late, sourcing unknown, 2 flagged additives confirmed. That's the complete picture of what's in the bag. Top 3, Sonic Crispy Chicken Sandwich. Sonic built something no other fast food brand quite has. A specific American memory, the drive-in stall, the tray on your car window, roller skating staff, slushes, summer evenings with kids in the back seat who already know their order before you finish pulling in. That nostalgia is not accidental. Sonic has been protecting it for decades, and it works because it attaches the brand to something emotional before you even think about the food. The crispy chicken sandwich inside that experience contains Yellow 5. Yellow 5 is a synthetic food dye made from petroleum. In the European Union, every food product containing Yellow 5 must carry a specific warning on the label. By law, that warning reads, may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. Not suggested, required across every EU member country. In the United States, the FDA considers Yellow 5 safe at permitted concentrations. The warning that's legally mandatory in Europe appears nowhere on Sonic's U.S. packaging. Same dye, same research base, two completely different decisions about what parents deserve to be told. The sandwich also contains sodium acid pyrophosphate and modified food starch, processing additives that consistently appear in commodity chicken products where shelf stability takes priority over ingredient simplicity. Sonic has never added a voluntary Yellow 5 disclosure to its U.S. packaging. Families pulling into Sonic on a summer evening are thinking about the memory. The ingredient list doesn't interrupt that. It just sits quietly behind it. The nostalgia is real. So are the ingredients. Only one of them gets shown to you. Top 4, Burger King Royal Crispy Chicken. Burger King made the comparison direct. The advertising pointed specifically at Chick-fil-A. The Royal Crispy Chicken was positioned as the sandwich that could finally go head-to-head with the most trusted name in fast food chicken. The campaign was confident, bold even. Then you look at what's in it. The Royal Crispy Chicken contains carrageenan, the same compound that appeared in the Jack in the Box section, the one the organic food industry decided didn't belong in certified clean products. Here it is again in a sandwich being marketed to families and teenagers as a premium chicken option. The sodium sits above 1,100 milliliters per sandwich. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 2,300 milliliters for a healthy adult per day. One Royal Crispy Chicken, before fries, before a drink, before anything else on the tray, already burns through nearly half that daily ceiling. That's before the meal has even started. A teenager grabbing this after school isn't doing sodium math. A family picking it up on the way home is thinking about whether everyone will eat without complaining. That's the real decision environment this food lands in. Tasting good and being transparent about what's in the food are two separate commitments. Burger King has been consistent about which one gets the investment. It beat Chick-fil-A in the ads. It doesn't come close on the ingredient label. Top 5, Wendy's Crispy Chicken Sandwich. The most effective brand positioning in fast food history might be Wendy's Fresh Never Frozen campaign. 4 words, decades of use. And what those 4 words created was genuinely valuable. The widespread belief that Wendy's operates on a different standard than everyone else. The fresh beef promise was real. It applied to the beef, but in the minds of millions of regular customers, it became shorthand for the whole brand. The crispy chicken sandwich was never part of that promise. The chicken contains TBHQ, tertiary butyl hydroquinone. It's a preservative synthesized from butane, the same base chemical in lighter fluid. The FDA permits TBHQ in food at very low concentrations, and that approval has held in the United States for decades. The European Food Safety Authority reviewed the same compound and landed somewhere different. European regulators raised concerns about potential effects on immune function and flagged possible genotoxicity at elevated exposure levels. The EU has since moved to restrict TBHQ further. In the United States, it remains fully permitted with no consumer warning required. TBHQ doesn't appear in fresh food. It appears in food that needs shelf life extended past what natural ingredients allow. And a brand that staked its entire identity on the word fresh is using a petroleum-derived preservative, one that European regulators have restricted in the product sitting right next to the fresh beef burger on the same menu board. 2 products, 2 completely different ingredient philosophies, one brand name covering both with no explanation at the counter. Most people ordering the crispy chicken at Wendy's have never known those were 2 separate standards running inside the same kitchen. That's not a small gap. Top 6, KFC Crispy Kernel Sandwich. Harlan Sanders was a real person. The roadside kitchen in Corbin, Kentucky was real. The years he spent developing that recipe, the 11 herbs and spices, the genuine commitment to a single product done at a high standard before any franchise existed. That's authentic history. The trust KFC built across multiple generations wasn't built through advertising. It came from a real product that people experienced firsthand and passed down. Seniors who grew up eating KFC carry that association, Sunday dinners, family occasions, something that felt made with actual care. That emotional connection is genuine, and it runs deep. The crispy kernel sandwich is not part of that story. It contains TBHQ, the same petroleum-derived preservative that just appeared in the Wendy's section, restricted by European regulators and permitted here without warning. It also contains MSG, and the sodium approaches 1,400 milliliters per sandwich, higher than the Popeyes number we're about to get to, which was already burning through nearly 60% of the daily recommended ceiling. Here's the part that matters most. The 11 herbs and spices Harlan Sanders spent his career developing don't appear in the ingredient disclosure for the sandwich. What appears instead is a list of industrial additives his original kitchen never needed and was never designed around. Think about someone who has trusted KFC for 50 years, who orders the crispy kernel sandwich without looking at the label because they've trusted this brand their entire adult life. That trust was built by a person with a genuine recipe. It's now being extended to a product the Colonel would not recognize. 70 years of earned heritage. One ingredient list that doesn't reflect any of it. Top 7, Popeye's Chicken Sandwich. You know exactly what this moment was. The lines around buildings, sold-out signs within days of launch, a social media back and forth that generated millions of impressions in hours. People waiting in drive-thrus for an hour. Food journalists writing about it. Late-night hosts referencing it. For roughly 3 weeks in 2019, the Popeye's chicken sandwich was the most discussed food item in the country. Here is the one number that never trended during any of that. One classic Popeye's chicken sandwich contains 1,170 mg of sodium. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 2,300 milliliters for a healthy adult per day. That one sandwich before the Cajun fries, before the biscuit, before the drink, before breakfast or dinner that same day already delivers nearly 60% of that entire daily ceiling. For the people who stood in those lines and then kept coming back every week, the sodium accumulation over time isn't a minor footnote. It's the kind of consistent daily excess that cardiologists say they spend entire appointments trying to trace in patients who genuinely don't know where it's coming from. People who don't think of themselves as eating badly. People who chose chicken over red meat because they understood that to be the responsible call. Popeyes has not reformulated the sodium content since launch. The cultural moment moved on. The ingredient list stayed exactly where it was on day one. The internet celebrated it. The cardiologist quietly noted it. Nobody tweeted that part. Top 8, McDonald's McChicken. The McChicken has been on the McDonald's menu in some form for so long that ordering it barely registers as a decision. Dollar menu anchor. Budget staple. The sandwich grandparents grab for grandchildren when the goal is keeping everyone happy without spending much. It's familiar the way a piece of furniture is familiar. You stop actually looking at it. That kind of familiarity is exactly where the real problems hide. The McChicken patty is made from mechanically separated chicken. Most people who've ordered this sandwich dozens of times have never encountered that phrase. Here's what it actually describes. After all conventional cuts have been removed from a chicken carcass, what remains gets forced through a high-pressure industrial sieve. Bone fragments are filtered out. What passes through the other side is a smooth, pale, protein-dense paste. That paste is then seasoned, shaped, and formed into the patty that ends up in the paper wrapper. The FDA requires this to be disclosed. McDonald's discloses it. Mechanically separated chicken appears in the ingredient list in plain English. The disclosure is there. The problem is that almost nobody reads fast food ingredient lists, and the people most likely eating McChickens regularly are often the ones with the fewest reasons to think they need to. Seniors on fixed incomes, families stretching a food budget, people who've trusted this sandwich for 30 years without a single reason to question it. Think about someone handing that wrapper to a child, watching them eat, feeling like they provided something affordable and decent. Then think about what's actually in the patty, a paste pressed into a circle inside a bun. That's the honest description. It's not spin. It's what the label says if you look. Most people never look. And that's not a character flaw. It's what happens when something has been in your life long enough that it stops feeling like a choice at all. Top 9, Subway Crispy Chicken Classic. Subway sells a feeling more than it sells food. The feeling of control. You watch the sandwich being built right in front of you. You pick the vegetables, the bread, whether the sauce goes on. You leave feeling like you made a deliberate, considered choice, while everyone else just grabbed whatever was handed to them through a window. That visible assembly is the most effective health claim Subway has ever made. And it costs them nothing because it's never actually stated. It's just the experience of watching your food being built. The crispy chicken patty at the center of this sandwich did not arrive at that counter this morning. It arrived pre-breaded, pre-cooked, and pre-formed from a processing facility, the same way commodity chicken does at most of the other chains on this list. The assembly you watched was the final step of a product built somewhere else entirely. The ingredient list includes sodium phosphates, modified cornstarch, and carrageenan. If you've been keeping count, this is now the third time carrageenan has appeared. After Burger King, after Jack in the Box, and now inside the chain that built its entire brand identity around fresh, visible, customizable food, the compound the organic food industry decided wasn't clean enough for certified products is a recurring ingredient at the chain most associated with healthy eating. Before any sauce, before cheese, before any of the toppings that make the assembly feel like a health decision, the sodium on the crispy chicken classic is already approaching 900 milliliters. Add the bread, add a sauce, and you're past 1,000 milliliters before you've made a single choice that felt like a compromise. Think about the person eating here 3 times a week because it feels smarter than everything around it. The person who switched to Subway specifically for health reasons. The person carefully tracking calories in an app, but never once checking the ingredient list because the ingredient list is not what the Subway experience asks you to focus on. The health story costs Subway nothing to imply. The counter creates the impression of transparency without any of its substance. Go find the ingredient list from your last Subway order. Count the additives on the crispy chicken alone. Then think about what was actually in your head when you were standing there choosing your vegetables. Those are 2 completely different products. Only one of them was shown to you. Top 10, Chick-fil-A Classic Chicken Sandwich. There is a level of trust Chick-fil-A has built that almost no other fast food brand has come close to. Closed on Sundays. Staff that genuinely seems happy to be at work. A cleanliness standard most competitors can't maintain. When people think about fast food they actually feel okay about, Chick-fil-A is almost always the first name that comes up. Parents order it for their kids without a second thought. That comfort was built over decades and it's completely real, which is exactly why this next number matters more here than it would anywhere else. The classic Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich contains over 60 ingredients. 60. For a piece of chicken between 2 buns, the chicken is pressure cooked in refined peanut oil, one of the most allergenic substances in the food supply. Families ordering for young children, including children with undiagnosed peanut sensitivities, are ordering from a chain that runs that oil through every fryer and doesn't surface that warning prominently before the order is placed. The breading system is where it gets more complicated. Sodium aluminum phosphate, MSG, and dimethyl polysiloxane, a silicone anti-foaming compound added directly into the frying oil. Dimethyl polysiloxane is the same base compound found in silly putty. FDA approved at low concentrations and present in every single batch of oil your sandwich is cooked in. At a brand that has spent its entire existence signaling, it operates differently from everyone else in the industry. The marketing says values. The ingredient label says silicone in the fryer. The parent who picks Chick-fil-A specifically because it feels like the careful, responsible choice. Who orders the classic every week because the restaurant is clean? The staff is kind. The whole experience signals that someone actually thought about this. That parent has never been shown an ingredient count of 60 because the brand has never once put that number near the front of the experience. That's not an oversight. 60 ingredients is not a chicken sandwich. It's a manufacturing specification shaped to look like one. And the brand that earned more genuine consumer trust than almost anyone in this space is spending that trust on a product that doesn't match the story being told at the counter. This sits at number 1, not because Chick-fil-A scores worst on every individual metric. It sits here because the gap between what this brand has made people believe and what is actually in the classic sandwich is wider than anywhere else on this list. The higher the trust, the more the transparency matters. And on the classic sandwich, the transparency isn't there. Top best 3. Raising Cane's has 4 items on the menu. chicken fingers, crinkle fries, coleslaw, Texas toast. That has been the complete menu since Todd Graves opened the first location in Baton Rouge in 1996. Every person who told him a one-item chicken concept would never scale has watched it prove them wrong across more than 700 locations. The menu simplicity isn't a gimmick. It's the operating philosophy. The chicken fingers are whole, muscle breast tenderloins. Not formed, not reformed, not mechanically separated paste pressed into a shape at a processing facility. Actual tenderloins, hand-cut from real chicken breasts, marinated overnight, hand-battered in the restaurant, and cooked to order. The ingredient list for the chicken is among the shortest of any fast food chicken product in America. No carrageenan, no TBHQ, no dimethylpolysiloxane in the frying oil. Bite into a Cane's chicken finger, and the texture is consistent all the way through. No soft center giving way differently than the exterior. No filler beneath the breading. Just chicken because it's chicken. Whole muscle, one cut, exactly what it says it is. If you've been handing fast food chicken to your family without reading the label, this is the one where that check isn't necessary. The ingredient list is short because the product is genuinely simple. Nothing is hidden behind 60-line items because there's nothing to hide. Top Best 2, Culver's Crispy Chicken Sandwich. Culver's opened in Sauk City, Wisconsin in 1984. Craig and Leah Culver built the first location around a founding principle that's easy to say and genuinely hard to hold across 40 years of growth. Do fewer things at a higher standard than everyone around you. 4 decades later, that principle shows up in the actual sourcing decisions the company makes. Culver's sources its chicken through suppliers certified under the American Humane Certified Program, published animal welfare standards, verified third-party auditing, not a claim on a website, a certification with real accountability behind it. No artificial colors anywhere on the menu, no artificial flavors. The breading system is clean compared to the commodity industry standard responsible for the TBHQ, carrageenan, and dimethylpolysiloxane running through the 10 brands on the avoid list. Every chicken breast at Culver's is whole muscle, hand-breaded per order in the restaurant, not pre-formed at a processing facility and shipped in. You can watch it being made because the sourcing and preparation decisions make that visibility honest rather than performative. For anyone who has spent years trusting fast food chicken brands and is now thinking more carefully about what that trust should actually require, Culver's is one of the rare cases where looking directly at the sourcing doesn't change the picture. The transparency holds up, particularly if you're in the Midwest, where the locations are most accessible. 40 years of making the harder choice. The ingredient list is the proof. Top Best 1, Chick-fil-A Grilled Chicken Sandwich. Yes, Chick-fil-A is on both lists, and that's not a contradiction. It's the single most important distinction in this entire video. Everything said about the classic sandwich in the #1 avoid section stands completely unchanged. Over 60 ingredients, peanut oil allergy risk, dimethylpolysiloxane in the fryer, sodium aluminum phosphate in the breading system. Every word of that is accurate and it all matters. The grilled chicken sandwich is a completely different product made by the same brand. Whole breast meat, no breading system, no industrial fryer, no dimethylsiloxane, no sodium aluminum phosphate. The ingredient count drops from over 60 to under 15. The sodium falls to approximately 610 Bitcoin, less than half the Popeyes number. The cooking method is a grill, not an industrial fryer loaded with silicone compounds. For anyone managing blood sugar or watching sodium intake, the Chick-fil-A grilled sandwich is one of the cleanest high-protein fast food options available at this price point. For families who want to say yes without saying yes to a 60-ingredient manufacturing process, this is the version that actually earns it. For athletes who need a quick whole food protein source without the additive load, the nutritional profile holds up under real scrutiny. The grilled sandwich is what the Chick-fil-A advertising has always implied you were getting. The fried classic got in the way for most people because most people have never been told that these are two completely separate products with two completely different ingredient stories operating under the same logo at the same counter. That distinction is exactly what the industry depends on, you never making. 10 brands, the same broken system running through nearly all of them. Carrageenan in 3 sandwiches, TBHQ in 2, Dimethyl polysiloxane in 2 fryers. Mechanically separated chicken paste formed into a patty at one of the most recognized chains on Earth. A petroleum-derived synthetic dye that triggers mandatory government health warnings across the European Union on a sandwich marketed around American family nostalgia with nothing equivalent required on U.S. packaging. Raising Cane's, Culver's, the Chick-fil-A grilled sandwich, 3 options that looked at the same commodity system every other chain plugged into and made a different call. Not through campaigns about their own integrity, but through sourcing decisions and ingredient lists that reflect a different set of priorities. The chicken sandwich was supposed to be the smarter trade, the lighter option, the fast food stop that felt like less of a compromise. Now you know exactly which ones actually are. If this breakdown helped you make a better call next time, passing it on to someone who eats at these places regularly is the most useful thing you can do. If this investigation changed the way you look at the fast food landscape, please subscribe and like the channel. We are uncovering the hidden truths they've tried to keep off the labels. Protect your health and stay informed. The next deep dive into what's really on your plate is coming soon.